As a military solution looks more and more unlikely on the front, and as Gaddafi's regime is becoming more and more entrenched, many in the East are becoming fearful that partition of the country is becoming a likely solution. Many also fear that this solution would suit NATO powers.
Are they thinking of dividing the country into two parts? Is Libya too big for them? Is it easier to manage if you have two areas, maybe fighting each other from now and again, so that they always come in and interfere and be in the middle?
Are the rebels worried that if there is a ceasefire that could help a partition become a more possible solution?
Yes, that's one of the main things. I mean, people asking about ceasefires, I don't know who's asking it. It's certainly not the
UN is.
Not us, not the Easterners, because there's only one condition, that to get rid of this government, to get rid of Gaddafi and his boys. That is the main cause. But to ask for a ceasefire means the status quo, and the status quo is free Cyrenaica and occupied, or Gaddafi is in the West. So that is partition. And nobody wants partition, or at least most people don't want partition.
This is Omar Mukhtar. He led Libyan liberation forces for almost 20 years against Italian colonialists. He was caught and hung by the Italians in 1931. His face is now ubiquitous in the east of Libya, as he has become a symbol of the revolution. By some estimates, over a third of Libyans died under Italian rule. Ironic that now Western powers are being invited back to help rid the country of an indigenous tyrant. A press conference is being held in Benghazi by the leader of the revolutionary forces, Mr. Abdel Fattah Yunus. He used to be a major player in Gaddafi's regime. He was sent by Gaddafi to quell the initial uprising in Benghazi. After a disagreement with the Libyan leader, Gaddafi tried to have him assassinated, only succeeding in killing his bodyguard. Fattah Yunus then defected to the revolutionaries and is now head of their military. A man forces his way past security and starts shouting. He accuses Fattah Yunus of having blood on his hands while being in Gaddafi's regime. He is quickly removed from the building. This revolution was started spontaneously from people on the streets. It is now being run by politicians. Although most people in the East support their new leaders in the shared aim of overthrowing Gaddafi, there is disquiet about just who is leading them. Meanwhile, with the war still raging, life for ordinary people is getting harder across the country. Foreign workers have left, construction projects are on hold, and there are food shortages. In Benghazi, there are often long queues to buy bread, and even longer queues to get money from the bank. Public servants are not getting paid, and schools have been closed since fighting began. Welcome to Benghazi's fishing port. Usually bustling with colourful activity because of the troubles, it's now more sedate and calm. Before the revolution, this fish market used to be bustling with activity, and these stalls used to be full of fish. However, now business is slow. This fishmonger tells me that since Egyptian workers left when the fighting began, there hasn't been enough manpower to bring the fish in. Next door at the fish market, the morning's catch is being sold. This is Khalifa. I was surprised to hear his Scottish accent.
Because I did my education in Scotland.
Khalifa tells me that crime is rising due to prisoners escaping and the lack of police on the streets. Despite the often serene life in this coastal city, it's not safe to walk around at night.
And so you think there will be an end? When will the end be?
Well, there's got to be an end one day or another. It's got to be an end. It cannot go just like that. When, we don't know. Maybe a week, maybe a few days, maybe months, maybe a year. Who knows?
Can you last a year?
You've got to take it You've got to live with it. It's very hard, but you've got to live with it.
This revolution is now nearly 2 months old. The longer violence continues, the harder life is becoming for ordinary people in the East. This is the Transitional National Council's Minister for Media and Culture.
There are many stories and many long stories, but some of them is that we are amazed of the kind of enthusiasm we've found in our people, youth and older people, and the warm feeling of getting together, helping each other, participating in serving the country. We are building a democratic state, and we are utilizing our resources, which have been stolen by Gaddafi and his sons. We are going to use that resources to build up our country and to get rid of the corruption which Gaddafi has intendedly been practicing in the country. So I'm very optimistic that we are going to have a democratic and strong state in a very short time.
Across the Arab world, revolutions are bringing out the best in people, as political empowerment is leading to greater awareness and involvement in their society. Back at the front line, the killing continues. This is the aftermath of a NATO bombing raid. Gaddafi's tanks and trucks litter the roadside. We find dead soldiers strewn around the debris. Many are charred, burnt alive inside their vehicles. They are buried and treated with respect by the revolutionaries. This man says that the dead men are mercenaries, Algerian and Sudanese. They came to fight for Gaddafi, presumably with the promise of being well paid. However, they now lie dead by the side of a road, somewhere between Brega and Ajdabia. Suddenly, we hear bombing and heavy fire in the distance, and seconds later, rebel cars and trucks stream back towards the checkpoint. Go back, people shout, and with that, the rebels take flight. There is seemingly no end to this constant back and forth battle. Meanwhile, civilians continue to suffer. The 80-kilometer battlefield has become an effective no man's land. Most civilians have already fled. This man shows me the wreckage of his workshops. Hit by Gaddafi RPGs, he tells me. How is he to make a living now, he asks. However, he is one of the lucky ones. Since this revolution began, thousands have been killed. And since NATO got involved, civilians have continued to die. It is in the west of the country that human rights groups say are now the worst affected, as Gaddafi troops have reportedly crushed rebellions there. In towns such as Al-Zawiya and Al-Zintan, doctors have told me that they hear reports of killings, that people are short on medical supplies and are scared to go out at night. The town of Misrata is the worst affected, as Gaddafi forces continue to bomb the town. Friday prayers in Benghazi and soldiers killed in the fighting are being mourned. With each passing week and with each death, morale in the East is being tested.
It's been around a month since people in the east of Libya rose up and declared themselves free of Gaddafi's rule. Now, this revolution was supposed to be over by now, however, it has morphed into a civil war. I was here in Benghazi about a month ago to witness the excitement as people thought that they were close to the end. However, still, their future is uncertain. Are you as hopeful as you were 3 weeks ago?
Yes.
You're still as hopeful? It's just started to rain here in Benghazi, and they say that that's good news. When the rain starts, that means that their prayers will be answered.
There's a famous story in Libya that around 10 years ago an old woman had a dream. After that dream, she said that Gaddafi would rule for just over 40 years. Then there would be 2 years of bloody fighting. And then, with Gaddafi gone, Libya would be the greatest country in Africa. So far, it looks like her prediction might be coming true. However, people are praying it won't take 2 years of bloodshed.